Back on Economic Buzz, this program can also be seen through StarHub Asia Channel 121 Singapore and live streaming on okezon.tv and sidonews.com. With me, Erwin Suryabrata, and we have Ms. Ritha J. Nainggolan. She's the Managing Director of Profitas Consulting Indonesia. You also write a book here, probably in the last segment. We should discuss about this. And I can't be happier that we have this for the first time before you are going to launch it, if I'm not mistaken, by this coming April, the end of the month, or?
It will be launched next month, so it will be May the 4th. Yes.
Anyway, before we talk about this book, let's continue our conversation about Balance Scorecard. And especially this has come to my attraction, Ibu Nainggolan, about its application in the organization. But even though you have already given us several cues about Balance Scorecard, maybe this time in more detail, maybe you can share with our business viewer. Balance Scorecard, what is that by definition actually?
Okay. Well, Balance Scorecard is a set or integrated set of performance measures that derive from and also supports the business strategy, the strategy of the organizations. As you mentioned earlier, it has 4 perspectives, the learning and growth perspective. We have also internal business process, external or customers, and then also the financial. That's the very top one. So it has the cause and effect relationship. Yeah, like for example, learning and growth is focusing on your employees. Are your employees satisfied? Are they productive? So if they are, that will impact also the business process. So if you have a good business process, you have a good quality of the product, less defect, less turnaround time. And then it will impact what? It will impact the customer. Your customer will be happier. And then if your customer is happier, then what is the final impact? Of course, you'll get more money from the customer.
That's actually the whole point and idea. Between these 4 pillars included in the measurements, what it takes for us then to, at least in harmonizing these 4 pillars, could be sometimes they go in their own direction. When we talk about customer and then internal business process, they can go in their own direction. How to harmonizing these 4 pillars so we can have really ideal and what do you call this profitable cycle, if I might say.
Right. So this is an integrated set, and everyone should also own this. You know, so okay, like for example, you're a salesperson, you would like to have more customers. You want to have more sales. But on the other way around, probably it's at the expense of the process of the operations.
Affecting this.
Yes. Well, with this business scorecard, you know, the balance scorecard, you cannot just focusing on one thing because it's integrated approach. So because the one focus on one thing will be the expense of the other thing. You cannot. You have to have everything. That's why you also have in the balance scorecard, you have the objectives, you have the measurement, you have the target, and then after that you have the actual, of course, and then you measure the target of against the actual. So if you are good at the customer perspective and you're not good at the business internal process, then it will not be good for the company as a whole.
I try to picture the situation there when we try to talking about implementing this kind of 4 pillars and we talk about the measurement strategy. So meaning, as you said, there is a causal effect issue here. Once you are miss one of this thing, the other will be affected. Ibu Ritha, during the break, you told me also that there is personal balance scorecard. Then now, what is personal balance scorecard?
Yeah, like similar to the business balance scorecard. Personal balance scorecard is an integrated set of skills that everybody actually has and can be improved. So it's interesting that people sometimes they don't know their strengths and weaknesses, you know, and so
sounds familiar to me.
So that's why it would be good if people really understand using this balance scorecard, learning and growth, the internal, personal, and then also the external as well as the financial. So how are we in terms of the skills? And then this can also be improved as a personal.
When we talk about personal balance scorecard. How would we implement this? Because sometimes we have no idea over how to direct ourselves even by using this kind of guidance of the personal balance scorecard. Do we need someone to mentor us in terms of understanding, okay, this is where you should start, and that is where you should develop. Okay, I'm already reaching this step or that step when I understand the scheme or process involved. I've been wondering how complicated is it when we talk about the personal balance scorecard, because related to something very personal, people get lost.
Right, right. Well, actually, it's a very good question, and actually it's very good because I also bring my book here.
Please, if you want to show it to the camera.
Yeah, this one, the Personal Success Cockpit, is actually I share my knowledge, my experience in this book, and also in such a way, in such approach that we use the personal balance scorecard approach. So that here in this book you also have the software, and in the software you can answer questions, and the questions is actually linked into the your own personal balance scorecard. So there are 4 perspectives, the personal balance scorecard perspective, and then there are 17 sets of questions. And then when you answer the questions, you would see, okay, how are you in terms of your perspective, your strengths and weaknesses. Okay, if you, for example, you're very good at your external, but you have to have some areas in the learning and growth that
Needs
you
to
need
be improved.
Yeah, you need to be you need to improve. That you can start from there, and then after that you analyze, and then this also provides the tips for you to improve your weaknesses, and then you strengthen your strengths.
Well, anyway, what are the informations are needed the most by, let's say, the business managers to make better decisions based on this kind of measurement, for example?
Yeah, the key to the successful balance scorecard is information. We need to have very good information, accurate information, and the information can be received from the internal organization and also from outside the organization. From internal organization, for example, we want to know the productivity of our employee. So we want to see, okay, how much is the sales per employee, for example. Yeah, and for the outside organization, we want to know our market share. And then we also need to measure, are we gaining market share from the last year to this year? And also from financial perspective, for example, profitability, growth, revenue growth. Are we growing in terms of revenue? And then also, what about the cost? So all of those information can be received from inside and also from outside. That's why also it's very important that we can also get the information quite quickly, timely, so that we can make the right decision right away. So because if you wait, and then the market already changed.
It's all about timing, right?
Yes, that's right. That's why it's also very important that you also have the right infrastructure in terms of like the systems, integrated system in the organization.
Okay, so many defining key factors are related to this kind of winning the market by having a good, strong access to information.
That's
Speaking about the idea in practice within the Indonesia business environment, how challenging is it actually in putting the idea of this balance scorecard to work effectively? We talk about really start taking an action, deciding something based on the, what do you call this, theoretically we already get there. Ideally it's already there, we already submitted, but now then how to put it into action, start working on this?
Well, actually it's not as complicated as it sounds.
As I thought also.
Yeah. Because most of the companies, they already have the strategies, right? And they also have the vision and mission. It's just a matter of communicating, and then you're translating into the objectives, and then the measurement, also the target, and also the initiatives. Well, most companies, they also have the initiatives. Like, say, for example, you want to gain the market share. What should you do? What do you need to do to make your customers more happier, to get more revenue from the customers? Let's say, like, for initiative, for probably you need to get give like first or make like customers gathering. In terms of customers gathering twice a year, for example, or for the employees, employees, you need to make the employees happier. So what should you do? You should also make, for example, the employee satisfaction survey. So you see whether they're happy or not. So all of those things, actually, the companies, most of the companies, they already do it. Yeah, it's just that it's not in an integrated way. So here, you just need to spend a time to discuss, translate the strategy into this action plan, and then you communicate. You gain also the buy-in from the employees, and then you just implement it, and then you monitor it on a regular basis.
Make it in much more integrated way. I must ask you again about this. How then an emphasis on this kind of strategy can unite, let's say, an organization and drive increased levels of performance? We talk about making it much more integrated, where sometimes it's also the big homework for many Indonesian corporates.
Yes, it's like a homework, because most companies, they are silos. They're doing their own things, like the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. That's why you need to integrate this one. So as a top management, you need to discuss, you need to sit together and then discuss this not only once but also on a regular basis. That's why you need to know, you need to understand what other people are facing, what are the problems faced by the other departments, for example. And then you also help, because the strategy, this balanced scorecard is owned not only you own partially, but you own everything basically. So the failure of the other department will be your failure, will be the failure of the organization as a whole. That's why it's balanced and it's integrated.
How would you share with our business viewers in terms of what needs to be prepared now, then, the time for us when we want to start implementing this and put it into practice within our business activity in our corporate?
Okay. Well, if you want to implement this one, of course, you need to really believe that this will work in your organization. Yeah, and then everyone, especially in the top level management, they have to commit into doing this.
But they should be convinced first. Right?
Yes, yes, they have to convince, they have to believe that this will work. And you also have to work together as a team, because you cannot do your old ways, like silos. You have to really work as a team. And then the infrastructure is also quite important. So you need to get the information, right information from inside and also from outside organization. And your employees, you also need to link the incentives of the employees into this balanced scorecard. So it's balanced scorecard is not only for the managers or top level, but also for everyone, because when everybody incentive is linked into this balanced scorecard, of course everybody would like, they want to achieve this. It is like a common goal for organization.
Because in the end, this is also how to mix this balanced scorecard as the best corporate strategy, becoming everybody's sense of belonging. Like, I have the sense of belonging to this kind of strategy. Yes. I must achieve something. And achieving something, actually, that's drive people the most, right? When we talk about link the incentive to this kind of balanced scorecard. And the other challenge, maybe you can also, because we have, besides talking about the strength, also the weakness, the challenges they might face when the first time they implement the balanced scorecard within Indonesia context.
Okay, the challenge is to getting the information on time, because you need the information right away for you to also to make decision.
Punctuality are needed.
Yes, yes. If your infrastructure is not very good, that's why you also need to think about how to get the information. So that is the challenge, the risk area. And the other one is, of course, you have employees, and then the risk is the employees do not buy into the idea of the balanced scorecard. They think, okay, that is the management thing, you know.
At the upper level only.
That's right, that's right. So that's why this risk can be overcome by linking the incentives into the balanced scorecard.
Sounds promising, actually, to me, Ritha, to be honest, when we talk about the incentive linked to the balanced scorecard. Okay, that's about balanced scorecard. You happen to be the managing director of Profitas Consulting Indonesia. We would like to know about this. Share with us.
Yeah, this company was built actually quite new last year, after I decided to quit from the
Your previous
professional work,
work,
yes. And then I started to open this company. So this is consulting and training companies.
Yeah.
So we focusing on the three pillars, the human resources management, also the finance and IT, because I also have the finance and IT background. Finance IT management, as well as strategic plan and development. So the balanced scorecard, implementation is also one of our strength core function in this organization.
So you can proudly and confidently say that you are already implementing this into the
Yes.
practice on the daily basis business activity as well. Mrs. Ritha J. Nainggolan, the Managing Director of Profitas Consulting Indonesia. Thank you so much for your time. Really
Thank you
appreciate
very much.
and share this insight with us about balanced scorecard.